In this video, we're going to talk about the uncontested divorce process in Illinois. I've broken it down into 10 steps. My name is Bobby Buchanan. I'm a divorce lawyer in Illinois, and this is Illinois Divorce TV. So let's dive in. Step number 1 is to talk with your spouse and get on the same page. This is a fundamental first step to the process. You cannot have an uncontested divorce unless you and your spouse both agree to work together to get the divorce done. You need to agree not just that you're going to get divorced, but you also need to be able to work together to work through all of the other decisions that have to be made to get divorced. In essence, when you get divorced, you're entering into a contract regarding all of your property rights, support rights, and custodial rights that come from being married. So you have to be able to work with the person on the other side, your spouse, if you want to be able to get divorced in an uncontested manner. Now, I recommend that you keep things on a high level when you start talking to them right off the bat. Don't try to get into the weeds and talk about the specific dollars and cents that you're going to be agreeing to pay from the proceeds of the sale of the marital residence. Rather, just see if they're on the same page. Are they willing to work together? Are you both committed to trying to keep the lawyers as uninvolved as possible? The more involved the lawyers are, the more they're communicating back and forth to each other, the more time it's going to take, the more money you're going to spend, the more stress it's going to be. All of the things that we don't want in order to get you to the next chapter. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is to find and hire a lawyer that understands your goals and your risk level that you're comfortable with. And what I mean by that is that not every lawyer is the same. Some lawyers are what I call throw a wrench in the works lawyers, where if they see that you have a good amount of equity in your house, or that there's a substantial savings or investment accounts, they may see that with the eyes of opportunity, of seeing, hey, if this case blows up, I know I'm going to get paid. And as much as we like to think that, or we don't think that lawyers are ethical or unethical, there are lawyers that see those sorts of cases as opportunities. So make sure that you find a lawyer that shares your value system, that shares your goals of getting through this as efficiently as possible, and is not going to come in there and try to convince you to blow this thing up and make it cost 10 times what it needs to cost. You also need a lawyer, that lawyer who blows things up, they're going to talk to you about it in terms of, oh, we're doing our due diligence here. You can't just trust what the other side is saying. We need to do full discovery. We need to file these motions and all this other stuff. They might say, well, I'm not comfortable doing it this way, this more informal way. Whatever their reasoning is, that lawyer's probably not the lawyer that's going to get your uncontested divorce done. There is a way to be professional, ethical, do the due diligence, make sure that you understand your rights, what processes and procedures that you're waiving, that you're saying no to in the divorce process, and still doing it safely. If you hire a lawyer who sees your divorce as an opportunity to make money, then your goals are not aligned. So make sure that you find a lawyer who's aligned with your goal to get this divorce done as efficiently as possible. Step number 3, you and your spouse need to decide on an exchange of financial documents. To what degree are you going to exchange financial documents? There is a document called a financial affidavit in Illinois that is technically mandatory in every divorce case. In our office, we require our clients to fill it out at least internally so that we have a full understanding of their financial picture. You don't necessarily have to exchange it with the other side unless a judge tells you that you do. There are times when the parties don't exchange the financial affidavits, and then they get to the final court date and the judge says, have you exchanged financial affidavits? The parties say no, and the judge says, well, I'm not going to proceed here until there's a full disclosure via a financial affidavit of the assets, debts, income, expenses, all the financial information. So you do need to decide with your lawyer whether or not you're going to be exchanging the financial affidavit. You also need to decide what other financial documentation you want from your spouse and what financial documentation your spouse wants from you. In order to have an uncontested divorce, you have to have transparency. You have to have open communication. You have to be willing to give them the information that they ask for. If you don't, your uncontested divorce quickly becomes contested because the other side is going to file formal requests for that documentation, and then you're stuck in the very tedious, expensive process of discovery. So if you're going to have an uncontested divorce, it's got to be voluntary that you're turning over that information. Step number 4, once you've exchanged that financial information, once you're comfortable with knowing the financial picture, then you and your attorney are going to work together to put together a proposal. This is going to be the final divorce settlement document. There's a couple different ways to do it. You could just start by putting together bullet points of what you're agreeing on, but at this level, you're getting a little bit more granular as far as what you're talking about and what should go into that document. You want enough in there so that basically all stones have been turned over. There's no questions as to, oh, well, what are we going to do with this? Because it's really hard to negotiate if you negotiate everything and then at the end it's like, oh, wait, we forgot to talk about this, and that thing that you forgot to turn about represents 20% of the marital estate or something like that. So make sure you have the entire proposal on paper, and it could be just in a bulleted format, or your attorney could be putting together the entire package and finalizing it to give it to the other side. So that is step number 4. Put together your initial proposal, complete proposal package. Number 5 is delivering that proposal package to your spouse. It can either be delivered by your attorney, they could FedEx it over there, email it, or you could just sit down at the dinner table and work with your spouse and review it with them. And at that point, you're going to go into a period of negotiation if your spouse doesn't completely agree with your proposal. This is another crucial step of where a divorce can go from uncontested to contested. Do you have the wherewithal? Do you have the negotiation skills? Do you have the emotional intelligence to keep this process as objective as possible? If it gets emotional here, things will go off the rails. People will take things personally. They'll go back to their lawyer and they might say, I'm not comfortable with this. They'll get a bad feeling, and then maybe the other lawyer is inclined to file into court, and before you know it, the litigation process has started. So a crucial step here is being able to negotiate objectively, being able to compromise, keep the communication lines open. So you and your spouse are going to negotiate any remaining issues back and forth. And once you have that settled, you'll move on to the next step. Number 6 is bringing that negotiated compromise back to your attorney. Your attorney makes those updates, and then you get it back to your spouse for signature. Number 7, getting the signatures on the paper. This is as simple as you and your spouse going through the document. It's all been negotiated. There's been proposals, counter proposals. We have the final document here, and we're getting the signatures and we're getting them back to the lawyer. Step number 8, your lawyer is going to take those final documents that are all signed, going to file them with the court and get you what's called a prove up date. A prove up date is the final court date or the only court date in a truly uncontested divorce, where these documents are presented to the judge reviews them, the judge hears some testimony from you, and then you are divorced. But I'm skipping ahead a little bit here. I'm skipping ahead to step number 9, which is actually appearing. This is via Zoom in most counties as of the filming of this video. And you're going to appear via Zoom. Your lawyer's going to appear. The lawyer from the other side is going to appear. Your spouse can appear optionally. The documents are going to be reviewed by the judge. You're going to do some testimony. It's a very brief testimony. The answer to all the questions is most likely going to be yes. Your lawyer is going to prepare you for that testimony. Once the judge reviews everything, is satisfied that the agreement is not unconscionable, the judge will sign and stamp that document, and for all intents and purposes, you are divorced at that point. And number 10 is get a certified copy of the divorce judgment. That's the document that the judge signed, that was stamped, that makes you divorced. You are divorced regardless of if you have a certified copy, but a certified copy is really what we would think of as a divorce certificate. It is the proof that you can show anybody who asks for a copy of your divorce judgment, and it'll tell them that you are, under the law, not married anymore. So those are the 10 steps to an uncontested divorce in Illinois. Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a comment, question, and watch for more. Talk to you soon.